When the Marvel Cinematic Universe launched in 2008 with the release of Robert Downey Jr. playing Tony Stark as Iron Man, that was the year that DVD sales in the United Kingdom peaked with a whopping 253 million sales sold that year. It was also very early on in the Blu-ray life cycle, with nearly 4 million discs sold in that format. But in the following years, DVD sales continued to decline, and Blu-ray sales only picked up around a tenth of the growth that DVD was losing. We had the rise of digital streaming services such as Netflix, closely followed by Amazon Prime, and then in later years Disney Plus and a range of other formats as well. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has grown exponentially, and in 2021 it's finally formally in a connected way launched beyond the cinema screen. It's now streaming on Disney Plus, and with the rise of the WandaVision TV show, it has completely abandoned physical media altogether. And that's a sad moment. I'd like to take a moment just to notify. The death of physical media is happening in all sorts of mediums. It's happening in movies, it's happened to a large extent in books already, with Amazon launching the Kindle and a range of other e-readers. Now, the lockdown in 2000 arguably led to a boost in physical book sales, and there's always going to be a place for people actually preferring to read physical books, to actually hold the paper in your hands. But the e-reader has definitely taken over a significant chunk of that marketplace. And it's happening with video games. The latest video games consoles can even be purchased without a disc slot entirely, meaning that all purchases, all new games, need to be downloaded or streamed over the internet. That, in 2008, would have been completely unimaginable. But here we are. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe is taking this step in its stride, moving on to Disney Plus, a streaming service that you have to pay Disney specifically to get. It's not available on any other streaming service, and unless Disney Plus is an outright failure and gets cancelled, which it shows no indication of being, you're going to have to give money to the mouse to access all future Marvel and Star Wars content. That's, in some ways, a good thing. Disney has operated a policy of what, for the last half a century, that they used to call the Disney Vault. DVDs, Blu-rays, and even before them VHSs would periodically be released, available on the market for a small period of time, and then they'd stop producing them. Disney would always have a couple of movies that they just wouldn't stock at any point in time. And this was done deliberately. They outright said this is to introduce scarcity to the market, to make sure that people see that their content is valuable. Now, I'm hoping with Disney Plus that's going to be the end of this school of thought. Because actually, Netflix, for the first few years of existence, really irritated me. I've had access to Netflix and Amazon Prime for a long period of time. However, I refuse to be dictated to about what the hot movie of the month is. I'd often come home from work and I just feel I fancy watching the original Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movie. It's not a great movie. I just occasionally have an urge to go back and rewatch it. I'm in the mood for that particular thing. Or I'd say I really want to watch a movie with Benedict Cumberbatch in, and then I'd try and look online what movies was he in, and I'd see one I really fancy, and I'd remember, oh, that was on Amazon Prime a month ago. I remember it being advertised, and I'd log in, and it's not available anymore. Because of course Netflix and Amazon Prime had to pay subscriptions where movies become available, and then they advertise them heavily. And when the viewership drops, they don't renew the license and it's not available anymore. And that's been really irritating to me with those two services. And I really hope that Disney Plus is actually the movement towards, if you're going to pay Disney for access to their vault, it better be as comprehensive a vault as possible, with no excuse for them to be putting stuff out of commission. But the loss of physical media is also the loss of inbuilt ownership. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, the first 20 movies, from Iron Man to Spider-Man Far From Home, I consciously made the decision in the run-up to the release of Endgame that this would be the last DVD, Blu-ray box set I would ever own. I used to own loads of DVDs. I used to own quite a few Blu-rays I've collected over the years. But less and less material is being purchased that way. You used to buy people DVDs as a Christmas present. You'd think, oh, this is a show you'd really like, and give it to them. But now that as a gift option doesn't exist anymore, because if there's something you think they should watch, just recommend it to them and see if it's on Netflix. So the loss of physical media and the move to streaming is something I've been consciously aware of. I had no intention of paying for Disney Plus, but I knew that these movies, this release, and this film series, which feels more like a TV series in the way that each movie interconnected, they build on the next. And Endgame was a fascinating season finale. And I thought, now that's a run. I just want to own that run, the complete box set. And it will be the last box set I ever purchase this way. And that's fine. I then thought my engagement with the Marvel Cinematic Universe would end. I thought that would be it. I've got little interest in seeing Black Widow. No knowledge of the Eternals. They might be great movies, but they might not be. I had a drive where everything from Doctor Strange to Endgame I saw in cinemas. Not on the day of release, but pretty soon after. I had to know what was going to happen next. But even with Spider-Man Far From Home, I kind of felt it might be a good movie, but that drive's gone. I didn't need to see what happened next. And Disney's move towards the television series, when it was announced, I wasn't that interested, but WandaVision was a fantastic TV show in terms of reignited a spark I didn't realise I had. I'm still invested in these characters, still holding on to them. And so this move away from the cinema and towards streaming with shorter episodes and interconnected series, it's a brilliant move on Marvel's part, and really actually takes them much closer to the comic source material that they're drawing from, because they can do a much more range of stories, short, sharp and sweet, moving from one storyline to another, covering all sorts of different ground. And at the end of that run, I really actually unexpectedly found myself hooked, not just for Wanda herself, about what was going to happen next to her, but all of the other characters. Will we see Darcy and Jimmy Woo again as the unexpected comic relief I didn't know I wanted back? Monica Rambeau as a new character. She didn't have that much to do at the end, but you know what? I'm invested. I want to know what happened next. And we've got several other TV shows, both announced and unannounced, to come forwards, and it's going to be exciting. In the gaming world, I find myself buying less and less cartridges or discs. Actually, my PS4 collection physical is less than a tenth of my digital collection. Most of the games I've played on PlayStation 4 have been played through the PS Now subscription service, where you get a free, at least one, sometimes two good free games every other month. And they've been great to play through. There's been some really heavy hitters recently of earlier games in the console's life cycle that I missed out on. Nintendo, however, has demonstrated the vulnerability of this model, because with the launch of Super Mario 35 and several other games that they launched for Mario's 35th anniversary, but they've put an online game on the market and announced that from the end of March 2021, after the anniversary period of Mario's birthday is over, they're going to take it down. It will no longer be playable. It is purely an anniversary game. You don't own anything that you stream. You don't own anything really that you download. You download the right to access it. But when that service goes down, as we've seen before with all sorts of digital services, I was an early adopter of the BBC Shop, which was a spin-out of the BBC iPlayer, where you could actually purchase TV shows to watch permanently. Now, when the BBC Shop closed, I got a refund of everything I'd purchased on it, because that shop wasn't live for that long. But when the Wii Shop closed down, when I could no longer download the titles that I purchased on the Nintendo Wii, did I get a refund for all the titles I purchased? No, they were games. I got my use out of them. I'm not scared of the world moving to digital. To be honest, the problem with collecting physical stuff is it's all just more stuff, and we've all got too much stuff in our lives. It's taking up space, it's filling the planet with plastic. You can't give everyone stuff. But we also need to ensure that we are not letting ourselves into a situation where the people in charge who have access to the switch that controls the Wi-Fi are in command. And I really hope that Disney and Disney Plus has abandoned the concept of the Disney Vault. I'm not sad about the death of physical media, I can see its evolution, but I'm going to raise a toast to all of the stuff I've collected over the years and say thank you. I'm incredibly grateful for these collections, and it's a different world we live in now.